Welcome, sir.
I look like a piece of oxen here, like in the
So first of all, I would like our administrator, Mrs. Ila ma'am, to Ila Goel, to felicitate Dr. Parth Vaishnav.
A round of applause. पार्थ सर आपके लिए एक प्लस पॉइंट है कि सभी अभी अभी चाय और कॉफी पी के आए हैं, तो सब एकदम जगे हुए हैं, तो आप उसका प्लीज पूरा फायदा उठा लेना.
You'll need one during the lecture as well.
मोबाइल माइक हाँ yes अब सर नंदिनी माइक sir I'll introduce so our fifth and final session for the day would be on restricted identities. To talk about this topic today, we have with us Dr. Parth Vaishnav. Dr. Parth Vaishnav is a psychiatrist, public speaker, and de-addiction expert. He is trained in de-addiction courses from NIMHANS, Bangalore. He is an expert in de-addiction of weed, marijuana, meth, MD, cocaine, and other synthetic addictive substances as well. The topic we will be talking about today is restricted identities. So, Swati, I would like to ask you a question. Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I am.
So, you are on Instagram. Then, what's your ID?
It's caffeinated woman.
Caffeinated woman. Okay. Anyone else here? I see Pradyuman. Are you on Instagram? Yes. What's your ID? Noni. It is. Okay. And anyone else? Let me pick out. Someone, are you on Instagram? Are you? You are on Instagram. What's your ID? 7.7. Okay. But why is it so? Why is it 7.7? 7 is a lucky number. Okay.
So this is his identity. Caffeinated woman is my identity, and Noni is Pradyuman's. So this is one kind of identity we talk about nowadays on social media. So Parth sir will continue regarding what all restricted identities and the topic about it.
And the question he'll be answering is the quest for an identity on social media. Please welcome Dr. Parth Vaishnav. With a round of applause.
Ronaldo fan or a Dhoni fan? 7. I'm 7 everywhere. My number is with 7. My car is on 7, but I'm a Ronaldo fan, mad Ronaldo fan, because I feel people are not always gifted. He's an example of that. But hard work, endurance, and real hard motivation can really change things for you. I love Messi, but I hate him for being really gifted. I like Ronaldo because I think he motivates me a lot. And we already had this discussion about online identity and everything. I don't see much scope for me to speak about it. Would you all exist on this planet? Are you existing right now?
Yes,
Are you alive?
Yes, sir.
Are you kicking?
No, sir.
No. Why? What's the problem? What is the mere example that you are really existing on this world? How did you come on this world in the first place? Tell me. How do I go forward with the slides? Years back. Each one of us, you and me, never existed. All we were supposed to be was either a sperm or an ovum, correct? And two humans out of the recreational or procreation activity, aka our parents, were going to convert these two things into a fertilized zygote. Your first identity on this planet, your first physical identity on this planet was a single cell. No look, no name, all exactly looking the same, and it's a single cell. Zygote is just a single cell. That is your first identity on this planet. Who thought that would convert into something so enormous someday and we'll be talking about multiple identities that this single zygote would one day have. 36 to 40 weeks you stay in that womb of your mother. It's the most secure place to live in. I tell you, at times I feel why people are brought out of there. It's the best place to stay. But somehow you come out of there. As you are born, the doctor takes a scissors and cuts the umbilical cord. A very symbolic thing, and it's mandatory in America that the father cuts the umbilical cord. The father psychologically makes the mother understand that the child is separate from you now. So the zygote, which later a womb, a fetus, gets an identity because it is cut from the umbilical cord from the mother. It is known as a child now. But think about this: the child that is born decided nothing in his or her life. They are not sure which family they are born in. They don't decide the parents that they have. On the 5th, 7th, or 12th day, as per the tradition among the culture, their names will be decided, not known to them, no opinions taken from them. They live in a family which already has a religion. Automatically, this child will start following. The child does not decide that. The family will have a culture, certain sorts of belief systems to be followed. The child would be blindly following that. The mother feeds the child first with the breast milk, then with the top feed, then with the food. The child does not decide the food preferences as well. Then comes the funny part. Nothing till now, till the age that the child has started talking, walking, understanding people, have a social smile, be cognitively aware about everything around them. They decide nothing, neither their parents, their religion, their culture, their names. And now, as the child grows, the child is supposed to be nurtured, right? Till now, we also was nature. The nature gave birth to the child will be in the hands of hashtag parenting. A very complex topic, a very complex topic. I would dare not speak about that because I am a father of a 2 and a 4 year old child and I have not slept even a single minute yesterday because my son did not let me. He repeatedly got up asking me the single question: why would Bumblebee not become a transformer of a rocket form instead of a car? I was like a 4 year old child in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., and he does not sleep. He simply wants an answer. Papa, सुई कैसे शको तो पूछूं जो जवाब तो आपको ऐसे. I said random things. I do remember. I was so sleepy. I said some random things. In the morning, he's not talking to me. I'm not sure what they have talked. So I am not exactly the person to be talking about parenting. But parenting is a very complex topic because the child now onwards will exactly become what the parent thinks they should become. The parents with all their biases, all their positive, negative thoughts and energies, all their belief systems, all their expectations will start letting the child. It's very obvious that the child will pick up all these things from their parents, correct? So as the child grows, the child feels that it is growing, but it is not. It is exactly becoming a replica of what their parents thought in their minds they should become. This too goes a step further. The parents will decide what school you will study in. This was my condition in my first standard. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, why do people go to school in the first place? Home was so good. I was playing so well. I was so dumbstruck. I felt so idiotic sitting on the first bench on the first day of the school because my height was too short. I was always on the first bench and the last roll number. Again, my identity was Vaishnav, always last roll number. So the introduction in the class was very simple. My Gujarati teacher used to come in. Park Vaishnav, roll number 57. I still remember. So I was like roll number 57. That is who I was. For the next 3 years, I was roll number 57. Until Vasavda came in my class, who became 58, and so I was not the last roll number anymore. So it was so good not standing last in the line. But that was my identity. I did not choose that. I was the last roll number. Again, a school system which made me follow certain specific norms because they were made by someone, not me. They never asked me. They could have put my roll number with my name. That is why what I decided. I picked up a school in Ahmedabad that gives roll numbers with their names. And I named my son Arnav. He has to be. There is a double A in his name. He has to be the first roll number. No, that is my cognitive bias that my child will carry for the rest of his life. But I've seen what are things at the back. I hope they are better in the front. I hope the grass is greener on the other side. But I'm not sure. Maybe someday, in the middle of the night, Maybe someday in the middle of the night, 10 years later, he'll again get up. He'll be talking some random things and he'll be again sleeping. I hope I don't speak again something which does not make him communicate with me, because a child needs to talk constantly with their parents. That is what shapes their identity, their self-confidence, their faith in their belief system, their roots. Because people without that face lots of emotional, psychiatric and psychological issues. Difficult to manage. Coming back to the child. What happens is, parents obviously see, उसका बेटा इसमें जा रहा है तो मेरा बेटा भी skating करेगा. Your son does not like skating, football, skating, drawing, painting, piano, what not. All of you must have at least once in your life joined that summer vacation hobby classes. Guitar, this, that. Unknowingly, your so-called passion, I'm really sorry, I'm going to puncture the balloon today. Your so-called passion was basically one of those hobby classes that your parents decided for you. So your so-called passion which you're trying to follow is not your identity. It's again a reflection of identity that your parents gave to you, your friends gave to you, that you picked up from somewhere. It's also not decided by us. It's a very complex word. Really sorry, I don't like you changing the slides. Okay. I'm like an iPhone in my What happens as a child, the most interesting thing is, a child sees his parents like a mountain. A child is like sitting or standing below the mountain, looking at the mountain. The child feels it's such a magnanimous thing, it's so vast. It covers the sky. There is nothing beyond this mountain. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Nobody can ever climb it. Whatever it does, it will always be right. This mountain for it seems to be the biggest support system that it ever had. As the child grows, the child starts climbing this mountain. As the child climbs the mountain, gradually they reach to the top, they realize that the mountain was simply a part of an ecosystem. The sky above that is way more vast. Think about it. The metaphor being the mountain is the parent and the sky is the world. The child suddenly feels that what was I doing all my life? 12 years of your life, you are still climbing that mountain. And suddenly you realize that, oh, they make so many mistakes. They are so foolish. Many of our parents must have got lesser education. So we suddenly start feeling, oh, you are not educated enough to talk in front of me. I'm a graduate, I'm post-graduation. Suddenly all these things starts coming up. They don't seem the mountain that they were someday. And that is when, exactly, chronologically, is an age of adolescence to early teens. During this period, girls have a spot of estrogen and progesterone. That is why development of secondary sexual characters, breast, menstruation, they start. Boys have a surge of testosterone. And suddenly their hoarseness of voice, their features changes, their facial hair, erection of penis happens, confusion. It's a big chaos. Recently, we simply climbed the mountain to realize that parent was not the final frontier. They were not even the first frontier. And suddenly the body is changing drastically. And you come to a point, what we in psychology call as identity crisis. Who am I? The biggest question that arises in every teenager's mind is, who am I and why at all I exist in this world? And that is a very difficult question even for me as a psychiatrist to answer. Because then, what do people do? Very obviously, that they try to find some set patterns, successful patterns. I don't want to be a reflection of my parents. They are passive. They are conventional. I am forward. I am not orthodox. I want to do something new. You make new friends. You talk to people. 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds come to me and say, sir, my girlfriend why is it phone nothing party? Girlfriend phone कैसे करेगा sir? Who gave you that phone? I'm really shocked at that. 12, 13-year-old come with smoking addiction, marijuana addiction. Young people snort meth, MD at a very young age of 12, 13. Identity crisis, because they are trying to create an identity as per their so-called role model. Yeah, I put a post yesterday that whatever time people spend in between KGF 1 and 2 in increasing their beard and hair, even if they use half the amount of time, your mental health will be superb. But nobody's gonna do that, I'm really sure. Nobody's gonna do that. And then, this was simply an example of how modeling as a psychological perspective works in the society, because we try to follow the tested formula, but he was the first KGF Yash, right? He was the first Rocky. He did not model anyone. except for the megalomaniac idea that he can fight any thousand number of people, which has been tested numerous times in our industry. But this idea simply put a very simple point that people are so scared, they want to hide their personality, their identity so much and take up a megalomaniac masculine identity in a way that now there are so many people who move around with this and they expect me to call them Rocky. I'm like, no, not Rocky. But even worse than that, my last 6 months went after this. It went after this. This was crazy. This was mass hysteria. I mean, looking at the reels of Pushpa, my health became mental. Everybody was dancing. Everybody was. It was a very nice dance track. So they proved that if things are sustainable, if things are easy to follow. I still remember I used to try to dance like Main Aisa Kyun, Lakshya. Hrithik Roshan, yeah. I broke 2 bones trying to do that. And then I realized it is so irrelevant. Why is he dancing like that? I have to copy that. And then comes this. This is so relatable. Anybody can walk like this. Anybody can cut their throat. No, not literally. Right? But this is so easy. That's so doable. A new set of identity. Youngsters, young boys, young girls, they are trying to follow what is a tested formula. Failed. Why? 80% of what you call as your personality is already decided. As we already discussed earlier, identity of an individual depends on various facets: personal, social, sexual, collective, cyber. 50%. We talk about it in detail. Correct? So all the personality that you have depends on these facets. Think about it. All of them are pre-decided. Your gender, religion, culture, your social circle, your second name, your middle finger, your sexual orientation by the age of 12, it is decided. We live in an era where we need to talk about it openly, no discrimination. By the age of adolescence to early teenage, people are quite aware about their orientation. So identity until a queer state usually is pretty much clear. Confusion is obvious, but complete denial is not possible. Collective means the friends you formed, the connections you had with people, the overall structure that you made around you. Ultimately, is your identity. I am part Vaishnav. I did not decide Vaishnav, right? So that all part of my identity is already fixed. Then how can I try to become suddenly a Rocky of KGF? How can I become a Pushpa, Allu Arjun? It's not possible because I come with my prefixed, preloaded brain in a default mode with 80% fixed patterns of identity. Nobody can change it. It is genetic in nature, it is biological in nature, it is neurochemical in nature. I simply try to change the psychological aspects of it, which means 20% of it is still left. At the age of 12, 13, 20% of identity formation is still left, which is in your hands. So people go into beast mode. So what next? So I'll follow people, I'll meet groups, I'll go to cafeterias and I'll form friends. That group seems to be cool. I need to go there. So I'll be a part of that group and people will start feeling, oh, he's not that typical Patel, Somedar and Chandla. He's so cool. This is such an identity crisis. Religion, especially in the era that we are right now, in the times that we are right now, religious identity is very important. When people say I'm an atheist, I'm like, you sure? You know the meaning of atheist because you're trying to remove 20% of your identity. Did you form something else in the 20%? We live in an era where religious identity is important, but communal identity is not. And both are very different. Because what is happening right now, people are confusing their religious identities with their communal identities. When people say that X, Y, Z dharma khatre mein hai, and who decided that? Like God came down and told, कि भाई खतरे में do something. Or when people say that मंदिर यही बनेगा, I'm like, fine, it's okay, make it. Don't make an issue out of it. See, the insecurities that people have turns your religious identity into a communal identity. That is where even more complexities arise beyond the scope of my knowledge and topic, very frankly. But then everybody is confused. Identity crisis arises in everyone at every age. There is an adolescent crisis. There is a midlife crisis. There is a geriatric old age crisis. Basically, we all live in a crisis mode all the time. So COVID was not that difficult a period. Psychologically, we all are living in a crisis period, but at a psychological level. When it came to a physical level, people were scared. But why is it different? I am fine living in the cages made by me in my mind. But I will not live in a cage that is formed by someone else, my parent or the government or an institution. This is how we as humans survive. This is our identity. We all make cages inside. We all are trapped. We all want to get out of it. We'll tweet about it. We'll write about it. God, then come out of it. If you write about it, you're not coming out of it. Thousands of people will read that and come out of it. You will never come out of it. But nobody understands that. That's a very complex phenomenon. But now, the world runs on जुगाड़, business. गुजरातीમાં અહીંયા ગુજરાતમાં તો ધંધો. तो शाहरुख खान की मम्मी कीधु तू ये धंधे से बड़ा कोई मतलब नहीं होता और कोई धंधा छोटा नहीं होता. तुम्हारी मम्मी तो मुझे लगता है एमएस कैसे रोज કે હોસ્પિટલ થી વળતા 10 નું મેવણ લેતો આવશે. અને એક પોઝિટિવ વસ્તુ છે આ શું છે એવરી નાઇટ કે 10 રૂપીસ છે. See, so in that era came up some technocrats, some businessmen, some wicked people. I would not say wicked people. It's okay if you do business. It's your job to do business, earn profit. There comes a group of people. They decide that, okay, the demand is identity. And the product needs to be one which can reshape it. It seems difficult, right? How can you form a product which can give you a new identity, which can change the way you think, you live? But see, across civilizations, gods have usually done what they did in the past. We've seen it in Mahabharata, Ramayana, this, that. Beyond that, we don't see any new serial which says that God is right now doing this. Correct? So we needed people who can take that form of God. So we got new gods, the virtual gods in the name of Zuckerbergs, the Jack Dorseys, the Googles, and they decided that, okay, we have a product. And this product is really good enough for you to have a new sort of identity. Initially, it looked very difficult to listen to. How is that possible? You can never have new identity, right? But then the product came to market. It was an interesting product. I remember I was in college when this era of Orkut came. And Orkut was a Google-based app. I think you people were still in kindergarten back then, so you must not realize what it was. So Orkut was supposed to be a social media by Google, so it has to be the best app, right? Google started this thing in which you can make friends with people, and ASL became the famous acronym in those times.
Yes.
Yeah, and I always till my third year of college thought ASL means American Sign Language. I was like, I'm not dumb or deaf. I can talk. Why are people asking me ASL? So I didn't know because I don't know American Sign Language. And then I look at did not figure that out. Missed an opportunity. Could have been different, right now. But then again, you need to be updated. So that was an era when everyone was talking. Yes, you go to random Yahoo chats and Google rooms and you talk to people and you talk shit and you talk the barbaric inside you out. You never wanted to talk that. You end the talk and you're always confused all the time. Then it all evolved further on. We need to find something better. We need to find something which is going to change the whole history of the civilization. What if the company does not ask you your name? They're not concerned. Right, whatever. 7 caffeinated, intoxicated, anything. Then they don't want to know your age, your gender, your culture, your religion. They don't want to know your baap ka name. Every time tera baap kaun hai, tera baap kaun hai. They don't want to know. Fine, anybody is okay. Don't need baap at all. If baap is not there, it's better. They are not interested in knowing your ration card, your ID proof. They are only interested in one thing. They call it IP. Not many people knew back then. IP, give it away, it's all free. They're giving so much to us. If only give IP permission, that's okay. Most important of all, they don't want to photograph it. You upload random kittens and dogs and anything, Hulk, Hercules, anything. And they accept it. They are very fine, this is what you are. We accept that. And suddenly you come to a place wherein simply a form. I saw the form for the first time. I was like, can I write Ethan Hunt here? He was supposed to be Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Big fan. I was a big fan. My first account was with the name of Ethan Hunt. I thought it was very cool. Ethan Hunt, it was available at that time because not many people were online. I was among the first ones to join the bandwagon. I was very happy. Ethan Hunt belongs to me. Even, Tom Cruise does not have that thing right now. So I was so happy that one day he will come to me. It was not an era where this IP and all those were very popular. I thought one day he will come to me. I I charge 4 crore rupees to sell this name. He is still not come. The name still belongs to me. So if you find that guy randomly moving around online, that's still me. Uh, you simply fill a form. You just give an email address, a phone number, it doesn't matter. You anyways get 50 messages each day in a day. You may send one more, what's wrong? The best part is, it's free. It's free. They don't charge anything. I was like, this is a super trust sort of organization. They simply want you to create a new identity, put any name, put anything, random things, and they are completely fine with it. And then they give a newer feature. You can change the handle name every day. So today I'm Ethan Hunt, tomorrow I'm Sakarchand Javeri. Doesn't matter. Nobody asks. You can change your status, your moods. So I'm feeling sad right now. But 10 people, why are you feeling sad right now? Nobody was asking me till now. Everyone thought that behind this smile is a genius brain. Nobody knows. Now I'm sad you just updated a status and I'm like, oh, people do read this. Wow. You can change everything every minute, every day as per your mood swings. This is great. Because 80% of things you are not deciding. 100% of things you decide. And nobody is gonna give a shit about that. No more pressure from mother to talk with her irritating relative all the time. No more comparison by father with that Sharma ji ka ladka. You do whatever you want online. My world, my space, my rules. I decide what to do. I make friends I want to. I keep connections with people I want. Lots of platforms came. Facebook was the Facebook came. Then Facebook came. We suddenly realized that the was not great. Then Snapchat, Instagram gradually became popular. TikTok came. So many apps came. Ultimately, creating a huge space where people, all of them, wanted to socialize with a newer identity. So random people go there, make identities, they're happy, they are contented that see my parents could not do things for me. But these people, they are great. They give me any right to do whatever I want. Now came the interesting part. That 80% still stays in your brain. The virtual identity, they started drifting apart. So what people started making so random IDs, so random descriptions about themselves. Bio in Instagram is the most interesting caption to read. And ultimately, there are 100 bios written, and then they are copy pasted. They change some words within. Until you realize what is the source, you all know what the bio is all about. And bio is so magnanimous. So bio means people are like, I feel that so creative, so interesting. This is me. So back then, in the olden days, my bio was Dr. Parth Vishnu, 36-year Hindu male Indian, MBBS, MBA, psychiatric, MBA, with the two word man. But my new bio is like this: hashtag Parth, mental health expert, a vlogger, a traveler, a storyteller. So whatever I speak may not have scientific basis. I'm very clear. They are all stories. What I say. I am the eye of my identity. That's an original thing. But random shit, random cheesy lines. This bio says amazing, look at the loser. Oh, that's good. That's 10 years back. This is me 10 months back. They did not allow filters back then. That was the only problem. I was looking better than Hrithik Roshan on any day. Just the filters. They came late, I came early. That is the only difference. Now, this creates a sort of split in your mind when you're online. When a hashtag A part, completely different. But in Dr. Parth Vishnu, like psychiatric, you can talk. I listen, 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 listen. I don't do the talking part. There I do the talking part because I'm not allowed to talk as a psychiatrist. I have to listen. My talking comes so late that by then the patient is dropped out from my opinion. So basically, I don't get the talking part. But hashtag I do all the talking all the time, random shit I think I post. Mental health, profit. Move on. I'll give an example of an interesting case of what happened because of this mixed identities. Ritesh, of course, name changed 3 times. Real name different, virtual different, case study name different. Ritesh was 21 when he met me. Ritesh was a very introvert guy coming from a very conventional Rajput family of Junagadh. So they are not allowed to talk to more people except for their caste. They are very orthodox. They are very much family oriented. So party is also with cousins and Dadaji and Mamaji and Kakaji. And vacations is also with them. And Sundays are also with them. And regular days are also with them. And sleeping is also with them. So It's such a mess that he was in that I don't have any ventilations, nothing to do in my life. His family was like that all you have to do is Mataji na Mandir ma tare main trustee banwa hai. That was the goal that the family has decided. To be the trustee in that Mataji Mandir. That will keep your father's head held high. You know? My chest become compressed. So he was always like not talking to people, and then he started becoming a matter of bully in his school. Then in his college, people were like, because Ritesh was basically lean. He was almost 5'10", but he was 45 kgs. He was very lean. So body image was very poor. He always thought that oh, I'm not that baku that everyone thinks I am. Ritesh Jhala, and then comes a 45 kg, 5'10". Doesn't put the personality. So he always had this, and I'll exercise a lot. I'll make six pack. I'll make big biceps. He had no motivation to do anything. At this time, he had been depressed. And then he was introduced to Instagram. Ritesh made an ID called Reckless Ritesh. And then he started posting super duper things, side profile and back profile and this and that. And when he first met me, he told me, sir, my side profile at 6 p.m. in the evening with 50% brightness and 40 on contrast. If an iPhone put 60-degree angle is amazing. I'm like, I need to have an eye to see that. That's the problem. I cannot see that. It's very clear that what was looking good, he kept on posting pictures. He made a Tinder bio because he was not allowed to date girls basically. He made a Tinder bio. Uh, if you look at his chat, so he brought all the chats for me to read. He wanted me to understand who he is actually. The chats were like, I was amazed. I was like, every pickup line was original. Every pickup line was amazing. I copied five from him. I was like, okay. Yes, Ritesh, tell me. And Ritesh is like, what is speaking of? First session, not a word. Second session, not a word. I'm like, okay, this is a problem now. What happened with him is Ritesh found a girl. Someone swiped, they talked, they chatted, they constantly chatted. Ritesh was projecting a picture of a very masculine figure that he was, a very extrovert, rich. He had lots of friends around him. Suddenly, Ria, the girl who was in touch with him, was like, would you meet me for coffee tonight? Ritesh was super excited. Unbelievable. I'm going on a date of coffee with a girl. How is this possible? All we did was go to Jayamani tea stall and have a cup of tea with my father. This is something new now. Ritesh buys the best possible clothes available in Junagadh. Ritesh is ready. He bought the best perfume available. 800 rupees cost perfume. He told this to me, sir, 800 rupees perfume. He got a shave done from a barber. He was like, just clip my hairs, don't cut them. He was very clear about it. 6 p.m. he was all excited. 6:30 suddenly feels that he's perspiring. His heart was pounding. He was jittery all the time. He collapsed. He completely collapses. 10 minutes later, he gets up. He's like, a heart attack, brain stroke, paralysis, what happened? He takes 10 more minutes to stabilize. He's like, I don't want to go because which Ritesh is going there? Ritesh Patel, Ritesh Jhala, or the reckless Ritesh? Because they are different. She's not gonna like Ritesh because he's not risk-taking person. But that is simply on chats. That is what I made as an identity on all these platforms so that I can gain some traction. That was the first panic attack of many to come in future for Ritesh. 6 months he did not tell this to anyone. The first thing he did, 7 p.m. he blocks that girl. He doesn't see what she's gonna do, what she has replied. He blocks her everywhere. He somehow manages to get a pint of alcohol, he drinks it, she sleeps. He gets up in the morning, he blocks his own account, he deletes it from all platforms. 2 days later, he thinks that, okay, I have a new idea. So Ritesh makes another idea. This thing goes on continuing. Every time he makes a different one. In one of them, he loves anime. In one of them, he's a bodybuilder. In one of them, he feels as if he's a good art lover. There are so many ideas, and when Ritesh comes to me, he thinks I am so confused. Because basically, I'm a BCom student. I'm not supposed to study much. My family wants me to join the business and then take over the 10th. But I am 9 more Ritesh. The problem with me is that. And I identify with each one of them, only not with the one that I am right now. So the basic problem was severe identity crisis that we had. Basically, we were supposed to have these platforms to have a better place to talk to, meet people, non-judgmental, non-critical. It was supposed to be a place where you're free spirited, free minded, you don't have any pressures. But suddenly what happens is When you go on these platforms to promote them, they give you more traction, you get more likes, more reach. And as you go forward, you keep on posting, suddenly the likes from 50 go to 5 and you are now upset. So you start the obvious things. The photograph was wrong. I didn't look good in that. Then the obvious ones. I'm not following the right hashtags. I need to put the right hashtags. Then still the next one, trend. Kacha badam is going on and I'm putting simple reels doesn't matter. I need to put on kacha badam. So basically, you are supposed to have a new identity. But now you have 80% of the identity that neither you decided nor did your parents, family, genetics, psychology, biology, neurochemistry, but some random companies. That is the training identity. If you do all these things, then you are important to this platform. Without that, sorry boss, we are not interested in you. That is a big problem. Because when they know more about you, they start suggesting content. The suggestion of content is a very amazing thing. It's a Chitragupta of Yuvraj. Chitragupta used to say that isko maar dete hain. Yuvraj, chalo. So I think suggested post is exactly like Chitragupta. Why we need to be Yuvraj in that case? Because we kill ourselves. The science is artificial intelligence was a technology which was devised so that computers can learn human behavior. Artificial intelligence turned out to be a technology which makes humans like machines. So we simply follow protocols, algorithms, suggested content is blindly followed, line forwarded, suddenly realizing, did I just curse Amit Shah? What? Account name, Manas Pandit. Because you don't know. In a fit of rage, you are just abusing. Difficult. So you simply cannot blindly go on to suggested content. You need to realize whether I need that or not. People shop endlessly of suggested content. People change their preferences as per suggested content. Suggested content is a very major factor which shapes your identity online because you start following things that they are constantly suggesting. I think I've lost one. So World Wide Web one was dial-up connection, right? I belong to that era when that modem used to speak a lot, and then 10 minutes you're on internet. Click on MSN.com and click on a picture and then wait until eternity.
Yes.
And now something will come until then. My mother would be there. I believe on internet. Image was not loaded. You're out of it. Then came World Web 2. Now people wanted to talk more, interact more. So you can give your content. You can put your content on these places and they'll project it for you. Amazing, right? But tell me one thing. How much content do they generate for themselves? How many reels, Instagram, how many videos, YouTube, how many posts, Facebook? They don't need to. Reels are already doing that. So they don't need to do that. So that quest to form an identity, you are basically making content for people. It's very obvious that you must be taking right on those agree buttons. They mean nothing, right? They're simply a means to reach to the end result. But these agree buttons that you put on mean a lot. Because when Zuckerberg was asked to come into the American parliament, he was very easily acquitted. Because everything that was shared according to the Cambridge Analytica was legal. People had put on the accept and agree button everywhere. Nothing was cheated. People were asked about everything, but who reads those tweets like, all these agree buttons are like the disclaimer star, conditions apply. Nobody reads the conditions apply. This is what would happen at the end of it. World Wide 2 ended you into a net wherein you are simply running a lot but on a treadmill. So you end up being in the same place, even though you ran 10 kilometers that day. You stop where you started. That's a very big problem with this. So the algorithm is very simple. You don't need to be very much worried. All you need is 15 hours a day. If you do that, the most important thing that you want validation, you get it. Ultimately, 15 hours a day, so much of hard work, people will start liking it. It's so obvious. When people feel that apps are free, thanks to Mukesh Bhai, internet is so cheap. So what's the problem, doctor? What am I spending? You're spending the most important currency, which is your attention, which is your self-esteem, which is your mental balance, not time. Time to live for 100 years, I'm just 30, 64 more to go. What you're talking about? Time is to hamari paase. Baki to kahin nahi. Time is not a problem. See, attention is a problem because when you have time but no attention, 30 minutes attention, super. 15 minutes of 15 hours of time, no attention, no use. That is what we call procrastination, as we talk about it some other day. So you spend the most costly thing on this planet, your attention, your self-esteem, your mental balance. So many psychological issues arising. Depression, anxiety, stress, insomnia, mood swings, psychotic symptoms, FOMO is so popular, fear of missing out, leading to delusions, leading to bipolar disorders. It's a very vicious chain. Behavioral addictions that I love, I study, and I'm part of a textbook that we are writing right now because America does not identify behavioral addictions. They simply identify substance addictions because all of these are American companies. If they tag this as an addiction, then the government does not earn from it, right? So, from an Indian perspective, we're studying that what impact does PUBG have, porn have on brains of people, social media have brains of people. It changes forever. If you study the MRI scans of people who are addicted to cocaine for 10 years and study the MRI scans of people who are addicted to porn for 1 year, that guy with porn does not have a brain left. It's completely slowed down. It is at least 5 mm. Seems very small, but looking at the size of the brain, 5 mm is huge. It shrinks by 5 mm. Ultimately, all these things, not only on the psychological identity, but on anatomical structures of the body, does have a very big impact. See, we had this virus in the last 3 years, a dreadful virus. But internet and social media has an even bigger dreadful virus. It spreads like anything. The XE variant, it is coming recently. It's like KGF का chapter આવે છે, COVID का variant આવે છે. So XE variant just came to Gujarat in Jamnagar, if I'm not wrong. Vadodara, yes. Yes. So a worse virus on internet is influencers. People with a problem I call as multiple identity disorder. I don't understand this thing that why would people randomly simply tag similar viruses like that. So one virus will tag more viruses. Who are infected? That I am doing this 10-year challenge and you need to do the same. And everybody is doing the 10-year challenge. So influencers sell everything from cosmetics to toilet cleaners, anything. And people end up into the gambit buying those things, discount points. And then I'm like, do you need that? So you got the discount of the product. And then you go, no. I was in its end of season sale. And then Shraddha Kapoor came and said that this is the cloth that will look good on my body. Because there's 60% off. But basically, I don't wear that. I got it for 60% off. I'm like, this is what influencing does to you. It's so funny. We belong, so not me, I'm a generation bigger than you now. Imagine I'm so old. Right now, let's say, we belong to a generation where we did not like people criticizing us. We don't like parents irritating us, giving us suggestions. We don't like anybody giving us any advices, but we are so hungry that कोई comment नहीं कर रहा है. So now we, from a personal diary, have come to walls about our personal stuff, and this is our identity. Everybody has become an open book. Nobody wants to read. People keep on opening their book and some people come, strips and goes away. And then the book keeps on crying. This is what is happening on social media. So basically your identity is muddy. It is a very big problem. I think that the era of influencers has just begun. We see that what influencing can do to a brilliant brain like Virat Kohli. The best batsman of any generation, stuck on internet all the time. Stuck in politics most of the times as well. But I take a break. Every time I see him, it's okay. You know that, correct? It's not working the way it used to. Take a break, but he cannot because if influencers take a break, if everybody, at least boys go to Bella Habit. Okay, Bella Habit recently said that influencing has made me so depressed that I feel suicidal every day.
Yes. Yes.
All the boys say it. So the problem is ultimately we use social media in such a complex way. Everybody is confused, and that too. We started using this because we did not like that 80% of identity. We were looking for a new identity. This talk today is more important because we are going to WWW3. We started cryptocurrency, blockchain is basically beginning of the world Web 3. So we are going to the world of metaverse. Now you won't have simply names and handles. You have avatars. You will be talking to people. You will be shopping online in an avatar form. if this talk has any impact on you, I hope you will take the avatar that is there with you, rather than hating what you are. Accept what you are. I don't say you need to be either a fanatic religious person or an atheist. You decide that. Until some age, it's up to the parents to decide. Beyond some age, even you can take the decision among yourselves. But if you fall prey, again, to the preformed formula, which has always been there, what happens is very obvious. So across all these times, that identity did not work. This identity is not working. So I'm not sure whether I helped you or increased your confusion, because a man has gone from becoming an ape to a primitive man to a common man to a modern man to a techno man, and man is now traveling the moon and trying to dwell on Mars. But still today, each one of us still have the same questions in our mind. Who am I? Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah. Surely Dr. Parth would need no introduction, and they would not need to ask this question to our students present here. Who am I? Because they will be ready to answer you on your behalf. So thank you so much, Dr. Parth, for coming here. So that was the fifth session of Accendo 2022. Thank you so much to all the guests who were present here, and thank you, Dr. Parth, once again. Huge round of applause. Yeah. So before we conclude Accendo, I would like to invite Swati and give a few words about our sponsors of Accendo 2022. So these will be our sponsors.
We had InfoPercept as powered by a cybersecurity company with cybersecurity products and services. We had a co-powered by Texaria, which is a IT solution-based company. We had our gifting partners Kalakari and Capscare. Let me take a minute and tell you about Kalakari. So Kalakari is a firm for artists where people who will to like appreciate art or like to make artworks find this platform and use this platform for their identities. I have also tried displaying the products of Kalakari on the notice board, so please note it. Capscare is again a company which makes handmade products, and the rest we have media partner Voice of India, Real Voice of India, supported by PRSI, Brand Buzz, Promotions Redefined, Simulations, and Say to Media. Our whole promotion of digital media was done by Blowhorn. So round of applause for Blowhorn as well. And Advanced Infotech Services. They are the technical support of our college, and TVM and co-powered by Motherhood, Women's and Childcare Hospital. Thank you. Before we conclude, I would like Ayushi to come up and give vote of thanks.
दिख रही हो ना Okay, hello everybody. So it has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful event, and on the behalf of entire Sendo family and their Sendo team, I'd like to thank each one of you. Starting with gratitude to our powered partners, InfoPercept, co-powered partners, Texeria, Motherhood Foundation. Thanks to our sponsors, Advanced Infotech Services, Blowhorn, and TVM. I'd also like to thank our gifting partners, Kalakari and Capscare. Special thanks to our media partners, Vibes of India and Real Voice of India. Thanks to our supporters, PRSI, Brand Pass, Promotions Redefined, Simulations, and Stay to Media. I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the dignitaries, Dr. Shirish Kashikar, our managing trustee Shri Pradeep Jain, to our mentor Dr. Shashikant Bhagat, Ila ma'am, Kaushal sir, and everybody. I'd be failing my duty if I do not thank the entire Accendo core team, starting with Divyam. He led the entire journey really well. Thank you for the guidance from Divyam as well. So now I'd like to call Divyam on stage for.
हेलो प्रॉपर है प्रॉपर तो आई थिंक भगत सर ने 7 तारीख को 7 फेब को हमको बोला था प्रॉपर तो 7 फेब को भगत सर ने हम लोगों को बोला था असेंडो के बारे में आई थिंक उसके पहले भी बहुत बार बोला पर वी डोंट टेक इट सीरियसली मतलब नॉट असेंडो बट उसके पहले भी मतलब जनरली जब बातें होती हैं तो वी डोंट टेक इट सीरियसली बट क्योंकि ये 4th सेमेस्टर का पार्ट था तो हम लोगों को लगा कि एक बार ट्राई करते हैं असेंडो किस तरीके से होगा तो आई मीन पहला टास्क जो था आई मीन आप जब ये असेंडो स्टार्ट करते हो तो बहुत बार लगता है कि यार छोड़ दो क्योंकि टू बी ऑनेस्ट मैं आज इतने क्राउड को एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहा था कि कोई इतना आएगा तो आप लोग को लगता है कि आप कर किसके ले रहे हो बट देन आज इतने लोग बैठे रहे तो लगा कि यार कर सकते हैं तो थैंक यू एवरीवन जहाँ तक लर्निंग की बात आई तो लर्निंग में आप स्टार्टिंग से स्टार्ट करते हो तो आपके पास सेल्स का पूरा आइडिया रहता है आपको मतलब जैसे अगर किसी ने रॉकेट सिंह देखी होगी तो उसको आइडिया होगा एक बैक आइडिया माइंड में रहता है कि आप असेंडो को अगर बेच दिया आपने किसी स्पॉन्सर को तो आप फिर किसी को भी बेच सकते हो तो वहाँ से सेल्स का काम शुरू हुआ पहले प्रोसेस में काफी स्पॉन्सर्स ने मना किया
Silence on the floor.
तो काफी स्पॉन्सर्स ने पहले स्टार्टिंग में मना किया आई थिंक पूरा फर्स्ट वीक हम लोगों का असेंडो में कोई कलेक्शन नहीं था हम लोगों के पास एंड उस समय टू बी प्रिसाइज मैं पूरी टीम को क्रेडिट नहीं देना चाहूंगा उस समय क्योंकि काम 2 लोगों ने किया था 20 दिन पहले पूरी टीम एक साथ आई है तो मैं उसके लिए उन लोगों का उनके लिए ग्रेटिट्यूड अल्लाह है मेरे को 20 दिन के पहले मुझे यही लग रहा था मैं भगत सर को ही बात कह रहा था कि होगा कि नहीं होगा और कभी कभी आर्ग्यूमेंट्स भी हो जाते थे भगत सर से मेरे कि क्यों करते हैं हम लोग तो भगत सर ने भी काफी पेशेंस रखा और आज अगर कोई इवेंट में कोई बोरियत हुई हो तो ठीक है उसका जिम्मा भगत सर को दे देना बाकी आप लोग आए बहुत अच्छा लगा मेरे को क्योंकि आज सुबह भी मेरे को लग रहा था कि आई वाज हैविंग एन आर्गुमेंट विद सर कि दीपल मैम और हमारे सर को कुछ मीटिंग आ गई तो इवन आई वाज टॉकिंग विद हिम बट फिर सर का पेशेंस था तो मैं भी लगा रहा वरना मेरी सुबह ही बात हो रही थी कि आज सुबह काम करूं कि निकल जाऊं ये बात मतलब पूरी जर्नी में मैं अभी तक श्योर नहीं था कि असेंडो में रहूं कि नहीं रहूं बट अब फाइनली कंक्लूड हो गया तो उसके लिए थैंक्स टू ऑल थैंक यू
कैन वी हैव साइलेंस लिस्ट में मेरा नाम नहीं था कि मुझे वोट ऑफ एप्रिसिएशन में आना है बट कुछ चीजें यहाँ पे बात हुई तो आपके सामने मैं भी रख दे रहा हूँ इस लड़के ने बहुत कुछ आपके सामने दिया है आप इसको फनी में लिए हैं मस्ती में लिए हो बात अलग है लेकिन जो इसने बोला है वो बहुत बड़ी बात कही है अगर आप इसको जेन्युइनली इंटरप्रेट करेंगे तो मीनिंग इतने सारे निकलेंगे और अगर इंटरप्रेट नहीं करेंगे तो चुटकी भर आगे क्या है डायलॉग चुटकी भर ओके ये सही बात है। आप जर्नलिज्म और मीडिया के स्टूडेंट हैं, आपके माइंड में हमेशा ये क्वेश्चन आते हैं, ये हमें क्यों करना है। एक आपका और बढ़िया फोरम है इंडिपेंडेंट मास पावर IMP, वो हमें क्यों करना है। एक और आपका फोरम है ज्ञान सिंफनी, वो हमें क्यों करना है, राइट। तो अगर कुछ करना ही नहीं है तो फिर पढ़ाई भी क्यों करना है। मैं गारंटी के साथ बता रहा हूँ, डॉक्टर पार्थ वैष्णव यहाँ पे बैठे हैं, अगर मैं सिर्फ 10वीं या 12वीं पास करके सर्टिफिकेट लेकर के जाऊं और मैं इनसे कहता हूं कि मैं आपका सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म मैनेज करूंगा और मेरे पास ब्लॉग लिखने की कैपेसिटी है और बहुत अच्छा कुछ लिख सकता हूं, आप मुझे 5,000 10,000 रुपये की नौकरी देंगे क्या। यहाँ पे सामने बैठे हैं सर, आप देंगे मुझे। देखिए ना, हाँ कह दिया, हाँ कह दिया इन्होंने इमीडिएटली, हाँ दे देंगे आपको, है ना। तो मेजॉरिटी ऑफ चीजें आप जो लाइटली ये लेते हैं चीजों को, वो आपको देखना है। रही बात, फाइनली मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि अगर आप कुछ भी नहीं करते हैं तो मेरा कुछ नहीं जाता, तेरा सब कुछ जाता, मेरा तो कुछ नहीं जाता। मेरा कुछ नहीं जाता है क्या, नहीं ना। ये जो भी स्टूडेंट ने इस प्रोसेस में अपने आप को झोंका है, राइट फ्रॉम द कंसेप्चुलाइजेशन ऑफ द इवेंट until द एग्जीक्यूशन, आप उनसे 1 to 1 या आप जब समय मिले तो उनसे मिलिए और उनसे उन लर्निंग प्रोसेस आप जानने की कोशिश करें। आपको गारंटी दे रहा हूँ, नन ऑफ द फैकल्टी वेदर यू कॉलिंग फ्रॉम IIM और IIT, वो आकर के क्लासरूम में टीचिंग करके आपको चला जाएगा और तालियां बजा दो, बोलो बहुत ही ग्रेट फैकल्टी है, बहुत अच्छा। ये लर्निंग आपको नहीं देगा। डॉक्टर पार्थ वैष्णव ने जो भी आपको यहाँ पे केस स्टडी दिया है, इन्होंने कहीं बुक से नहीं लिखा है। द एक्सपीरियंस ही गेन्ड एंड एक्युमुलेटेड, उनको स्टोरी टेलिंग में इन्होंने प्रोडक्ट किया है। और जब आप 1 महीने के बाद 20 दिन के बाद जब आप फील्ड में स्टेप इन होते हैं और ये सब सारे एक्सरसाइज आपको हेल्प करता है, उस टाइम पे आपको ये मालूम पड़ता है। बाकी रही बात, आप कौन से फैकल्टी को किस दृष्टिकोण से देखते हैं, समझते हैं, शायद अगर आप ये 3 साल के लिए और 2 साल के लिए किसी भी एकेडमिक संस्था में आते हैं और आप उसके थ्रू प्लस माइनस होकर कैरिड अवे और कैरिड फॉरवर्ड हो जाते हैं, दैट इज योर रॉन्ग परसेप्शन, आई टेल यू। सर, ये आज के डेट में बहुत बड़ा एक आइडेंटिटी क्राइसिस भी बनकर के आ रहा है एकेडमिक में। स्टूडेंट काफी इस चीज को लेकर के कैरिड अवे और कैरिड फॉरवर्ड हो रहे हैं, isn't it? 3 साल के बाद उनको रियलाइज होता है कि मैंने अचीव क्या किया है, अचीव क्या किया है। ये चीजें आप लोग जरा ध्यान रखें। तो इस लड़के ने जो कहा, ये आपके लिए पेन है या फनी है, बट इसके लिए जो है वो सीरियसनेस है। The kind of exposure he has gained and experience he has gained, he has shared with you.
Thank you for such brilliant remembrance. So quickly we'll go through the entire team and volunteers of Accendo, starting from Divyam Chaturvedi. Can we have the certificates, please? Ila ma'am, I invite you to please. Bhagat sir, please can you give certificates to all the volunteers as well?
Round of applause.
Round of applause. Swati Chaudhary.
सर्टिफिकेट यहाँ ले ले।
Sajjan. Aziz Cutlery वाला. शिवानी चौहान. रोहन झा. कश्यप भट्ट.
तालियां बजाओ.
नंदिनी शकुंतला. अर्पित नागन. Next is Amos Jacob. Shail Solanki. Jaideep Kumar. Happy. Joy Mukhopadhyay. दिव्या. दिव्या. खुशबू. खुशबू. Disha. Disha is not here. Shivika. Jinal. दूसरा लेते तो उसका बनवा मुझे फोटो के लिए दूसरा दे दो. हाँ किसी का भी फाइनली दे दो.
और हो गए.
And last but not the least, I want to thank me.
Yes.
अरे क्या बोल रही हूँ बेंचो, तुमको कब से बोल रही हूँ कलाकारी को दिला 3 बार बोल दिया मैंने, तुझको आयुषी दोनों को बोल दिया क्या? सॉरी करना है, जबरदस्ती ले रही हूँ, ऐसे हो रहा है नहीं।
Lastly, one more thing. We had to facilitate our gifting partners, Kalakari. So I would like to invite Swati, founder of Kalakari. Please everyone follow Kalakari on Instagram and Twitter. A huge round of applause. Yeah, so we are done for the day. I would like to call all the faculties, all the college staff here on stage. Please, all the faculty members, all the college staff on stage, and Team Accendo on stage here. Please, Amos, Divya.
बड़े लोग किधर हैं? लंबे लोग। हाँ, ये अभी। Everyone say Srikhand. Srikhand. Now, hold. All the students come.